Hello dear viewers and welcome to T-World. Kindly hit the subscribe button and we will be on our way. In today's news, Tehran former President Donald Trump, very much aware his allies were vigorously outfitted on January 6th, not entirely settled to go along with them at the Capitol, that he rushed at the top of his security detail after his driver wouldn't move him there. As per a previous significant level White House associate affirming before Congress on Tuesday, the disclosure of an actual showdown between a baffled president and his own security detail was only one of numerous sensations revealed by Cassidy Hutchinson, a previous top helper to Trump's chief of staff Mark Meadows, who laid out an uncommon representation of a White House in mayhem. As the assault on the Capitol unfurled, helpers mixed to persuade the president to mediate, and Trump wouldn't do as such. The Hill announced, Hutchinson, the principal White House worker, to affirm freely before the House Board of Trustees exploring last year's mob, proposed there was nothing unconstrained about the occasions of January 6, 2021. She portrayed a progression of gatherings toward the beginning of January when individuals from Trump's internal circle were making arrangements for the fights, and portrayed Meadows and Rudy Giuliani, Trump's own legal counselor, as essentially complicit in the uproar. Both had recommended somewhat early that they knew the fights of January 6th would turn savage. She affirmed, and the two of them would later demand official exculpations. We're going to the Capitol. Being great is going. The president will be there. He will look strong, Giuliani told Hutchinson on January 2nd. She affirmed, at the point when Hutchinson moved toward Meadows about it, he said, "There's a great deal going on, Cass. Yet I don't have the foggiest idea. Things could get genuine terrible on January 6th. Hutchinson, with a West Wing office, had an elevated perspective of January 6th. Working at the crossing point of a stand in White House, Trump's frantic endeavors to stay in power, and the inward operations of the straying crusade on Mike Pence, Trump's vice president, to upset the political race results. As an American, I was appalled. It was traitorous. It was unpatriotic," she said of Trump's consolation of the viciousness. "We were watching the Capitol building get mutilated over obviously false." She added, Hutchinson portrayed a president unhinged during his January 6th meeting on the ellipse and anxious to draw more dissenters nearer to the stage, so the occasion wouldn't look vacant. By eliminating the metal indicators that are essentially mandatory at every official occasion, the panel showed proof, as police call logs, that some of the nonconformists that day were conveying weapons, including Glock guns and AR-15-style quick-firing rifles. Hutchinson added to that record, saying top White House authorities knew, as soon as 10 a.m. on January 6th, that Trump allies had blades, weapons, bear shower, body protection, and lances joined to the finishes of flagpoles. She and Tony Ornato, Trump's deputy chief of staff, went to advise Meadows regarding the danger. Blades, she expressed, was unaffected. I recollect unmistakably Mark not turning upward from his telephone. I recollect Tony completing his clarification and it requiring a couple of moments for Mark to say something, since I practically said, "Imprint, did you hear him?" And then Mark told in. It was like, okay. Whatever else. Still peering down at his telephone, Hutchinson proceeded. That data didn't upset Trump, who was obviously enraged. The magnetometers, or mags for short, were clearly restricting his group size as numerous nonconformists with weapons chose for watch the discourse from outside the screened region, so their arms wouldn't be seized. He felt the mags were to blame for not giving everyone access. However, another driving explanation, and logical, the essential explanation, is on the grounds that he needed it full and he was irate that we weren't letting individuals through the mags with weapons, Hutchinson said. In a previous meeting with the House agents, Hutchinson had handed off Trump's requests to staff and security at that point. Haven't arrived to hurt me. Remove the effing mags. Give my kin access. They can walk to the Capitol from here. Give individuals access. Remove the effing mags, she expressed. Yet, maybe the most stunning point of interest of Tuesday's procedures came following his ellipse discourse, when Trump demanded joining his allies as they walked to the Capitol, something Meadows gave off an impression of being sorting out without a second to spare. White House legal counselors had cautioned against making such an excursion, with White House counsel Pat Cipollone cautioning it would seem as though Trump was trying to impede equity or prompt a mob. Kindly ensure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy, Hutchinson noted, transferring Cipollone's message to her that morning. We will get accused of every wrongdoing under the sun assuming we get that development going. She added, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy additionally held onto profound worries that Trump would, as a matter of fact, come to the Capitol. He called Hutchinson and Ornato in Trump's ellipse discourse, frightened that the president had promised to walk down Pennsylvania Ave. with his allies. "You let me know this entire week you're not coming up here. How could you lie to me?" Hutchinson said, transferring McCarthy's comments to her. Yet, a public safety visit log demonstrates they were attempting to organize the outing. Notwithstanding a 12:57 p.m. cautioning that Capitol fencing had been penetrated, eventually it was the Secret Service who might stand up against Trump's requests to be moved to the Capitol. Hutchinson was told by Ornato and Robert Engel, the specialist in control for Secret Service, on January 6, "I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol presently." Trump expressed when Engel informed him they couldn't securely make the unscheduled excursion. The president came up towards the front of the vehicle to snatch at the controlling wheel. Mr. Engel snatched his arm, said, "Sir, you really want to grasp your hand off the directing wheel. We're returning to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol," she expressed. Mr. Trump then, at that point, utilized his free hand to thrust towards Bobby Engel, Hutchinson affirmed. Trump's unstable displeasure was a subject that endured over the course of the day, with Meadows more than once being to a great extent uninterested in mediating to stand up against Trump's requests. Cipollone burst into Meadows' office soon after agitators entered, still up in the air, to get a reaction from Trump of some sort. "He would rather do nothing, Pat," Meadows said. "Mark, something should be finished or individuals will pass on and the blood will be on your effing hands," Cipollone answered. Cipollone, whom Rep. Liz Cheney, the Select Board of Trustees' Bad Habits seat, argued in a new hearing to similarly freely affirm, would conflict again with Meadows only minutes after the fact, after Trump sent a tweet saying Pence didn't have the fortitude to buck the political decision results. The group at the Capitol was reciting "Hang Mike Pence." Cipollone again moved toward Meadows to say they expected to accomplish something else. "You heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike merits it. He doesn't believe they're doing anything wrong," Meadows answered. The panel and Hutchinson itemized various different disclosures during the meeting. It played clasps of a recorded statement with Michael Flynn, Trump's previous national security advisor, opting to remain silent on various occasions, including when inquired as to whether he accepts viciousness was legitimate on January 6, and in the event that he trusts in the tranquil change of force. It suggested future hearings where they will dig into the associations with radical gatherings, with Hutchinson noticing that she would hear more about bunches like the extreme right Oath Keepers and Proud Boys when Giuliani was near. What's more, Cheney likewise showed different threatening messages shipped off those affirming before the board, including one where an observer was informed they would remain in great graces in Trump world in the event that they protect who I want to secure, and remained on the right group. "I think most Americans know that endeavoring to impact observers to affirm untruthfully presents intense worries," Cheney said, noticing the Board of Trustees would think about subsequent stages. The Board of Trustees likewise, point by point in the outcome January 6, White House legal counselors were clustering to survey a discourse Trump was to give on January 7. Hutchinson said Trump was stubborn about the discourse, and lines about arraigning agitators were at last taken out, dissimilar to large numbers of his different discourses. "He didn't impromptu a lot," Cheney said of his conveyance that day. "He discussed them without huge change aside from one. That being said, on January 7, 2021, the day after the assault on the U.S. Capitol, the president actually couldn't force himself to say, 'Yet this political race is currently finished,'" he added.
If you made it to the end of the video, kindly hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. It helps the channel.